Hey everyone, how you doing? It's the PDG podcast, and this is episode 5. Yeah, episode number 5. And today it's from a very hot office for no other reason than Belfast is hot today. It is high temperature in Belfast. A little bit cloudy now, but you can see there's a sort of sunshiny haze out there, and it's been really beautiful. Um, and just the time of year where you want to be stuck inside an office. I guess I heard it's going to rain in the next couple of days, so it's good that we got some sunshine, and hopefully we will do a little later in the year as well. Isn't that interesting? People in Northern Ireland, Belfast, always talk about the weather because it's so changeable here. We can have 4 seasons in one day is a common expression. So today is a special day for PDG advertising. It is the last day in our office before it gets painted. It's been a dream of mine to have an office that gets painted up, that is clean and white looking. Give you a bit of a backstory. I started off this business from coffee shops, from my bedroom, from my kitchen table. Then I moved up to a library, if that's an upgrade, and I then couldn't use the library often because whenever you're doing digital advertising and you need to have a phone call with someone, you can't really have phone calls, business calls in a library. It's frowned upon for sure. So then when I was in the library, what I would do if I needed to go on a phone call, I would run outside, or if the weather wasn't so great, I would run out into my car, because there's actually a lot to think about in that. Whenever you're making phone calls, you have to, you have to have somewhere where it's quiet for a start, just like here now. Whenever I'm doing the podcast, it's after hours, whenever no one's about. But you need to be able to speak confidentially as well, and you need to be able to hear what your customer's saying. And it's not very professional if you can't really hear what's going on, if the customer can't really hear what's going on. So I used to dash outside into my car or into the street just to have that conversation. So I upgraded to a hot desking space called the Foundry in East Belfast, and it is a great place. It's a co-working space where you can walk in, get a desk, and you can start to work. It's kind of the same though as the library and the coffee shops and cars and things like that, because you can't really have confidential calls while you are in the co-working space, because there's other people around you and just human decency. You don't want to disturb them. In this co-working space in particular though, there are booths that you can make a phone call from, and you can get a little bit of privacy that way, which is great. But the key thing, I think, is that there's an ability whenever you go to a co-working space or you move up a level in your sort of surrounding, that you are gives you a place to a grounding from, and it moves you from that coffee shop area where you don't know anybody and you're kind of knowing the baristas by name and the librarians by name, but you're not really supposed to disturb them, and you don't really want to disturb them too much. Moving to a co-working space where, although you don't want to disturb people's work, it is a very like-minded place where other business owners are starting off, or startups are starting off, and it's nice to be able to bounce off ideas. You don't bounce off so many ideas about your business, but keeping your own sanity by having a conversation with like-minded individuals is really good. So the co-working space was great to ground us and give us a place to stand. It's a good point, actually. Give me a place to stand, and I will move the mountain. There's definitely a quote in there somewhere that I really enjoy. The next step for us in the co-working space was up to an office, and the office was in the co-working space, they built little small offices, so little 2 people offices. Now, this was awesome because it meant that it was possible to um, have telephone calls, and they were a little bit more confidential. The only problem with that co-working office sort of space, it was still part of the co-working space. So there was a glass partition that led onto the co-working space. So it was very difficult to keep confidential material up and around the office, and branding it was very difficult because it was a very small space. It was only 2 people, a 2-person office. So whenever I grew big enough, and this is 3.5 years after starting, I decided, look, if we're going to take on someone, we need an actual space that we can brand up. We need somewhere where we're both going to be comfortable, and somewhere that we can start to grow. And in order to do that, what we really needed was space that we could brand ourselves. So whenever we moved into this bigger 3-person office with Anthony coming on board, moved in, and the very first thing that I wanted to do was get it branded. But to do that, we need to get this place white and get the walls. The walls are kind of I don't know what you would call it, a lavender color at the moment, and I really want them to be completely bright white, so that we can then put the PDG logo across it and start to put up some of our examples of our work, some things about our team. I think the map should go somewhere. If you don't know PDG advertising, the PDG part stands for Peter Doak Global. We'll maybe change that name someday, but right now that's what it is, and there's roots in its global origins, and that's something that this part of the story that I definitely want to tell. So that's happening tomorrow. We're in the bigger 3-person office now, and we are the office is being painted tomorrow. So interestingly, we're actually moving back down to the foundry, to that room, and we are going to hang out down there, which I really like, that the business is flexible enough to be able to do that on a whim, just move down and hang out in the co-working space and work down there for a day while the office is being painted. Shout out to East Belfast Enterprise for helping us move up to this office, helping us to paint the office and making sure that we had somewhere to go while the office was being painted. So that's wonderful from them, and I really appreciate that. So today's podcast is probably going to be quite a short one. Today, coming back from the Easter break, this is Tuesday, so the kind of worked really quickly today and almost didn't have time to put down the things that we did. But I suppose if I go through them here, we had our call again this Tuesday with our Australian customer, and worked with our customer to a couple of things. We worked with them to look at how we can expand some of the things that we're doing for them. We got a brief to create an email for them, which was incredible. A lot of our work is email work. It just shows the power of email marketing in 2019. But another thing that we did, we agreed that we can use this customer as a reference. So you're soon going to be able to hear a lot about what we're doing for our customers, because we went through a process of making sure that all customers were in our contracts, that we were able to shout about the work that we're doing for them. Now, we're not going to share customer work that is confidential or that hasn't been released to the public yet, but if we do something and we put it out to the public, we've got agreements now that say that we can shout about it. So I'm really looking forward to getting some of that information out there on social. So that was good. One of our other customers from here in Northern Ireland, actually, it's a big week for them. They're changing their whole email templates and their email marketing process, and we're supporting to do that. It's meant a lot more extra work for us, and we're very, very grateful for it. It's a big job there. All of our customers are valued. Some of them in different weeks have different points where we really need to focus in, and this is one of them for this customer. So we're really looking forward to see how that goes. We had a very interesting analytics checkup with our one of our South African, our only South African customer, but again, very glad to have our South African customer. So we had that check-in, and what we found was we have been able to produce at least, and I mean at least, 1,000% growth since last year in terms of their results. And it's a school system in South Africa in comparison to the Easter time. So Easter is like a really low period for the school system. Either side of it is busy, but Easter is really, really low. I mean, last year there were very few applications, but this year we have had not a spike, but we've certainly had many, many more than what we had the previous year. So that's pretty huge, and something that I'm particularly impressed with, proud of. Seems like something that's good to me. So one of the most difficult parts of my day today was to get an ad account up and running. Still haven't done it yet. Must have spent about 2 hours talking with Google Ads support. They're not very good. If you look at my tweet timeline, you'll see a very frustrated tweet out to Google Ads. And what's even worse is they immediately come back with support on Twitter. But whenever we go through their more formal channels, they've really let that go to ruin. And it's very difficult to get to speak to someone who A, knows what they're doing, and B, can coherently put across their point to you in order to help you get a resolution. So the core issue is getting an account approved, and we've just been back and forward so many times that it's nearly making it not worth it. We're not going to give up. We're going to keep going with this to make sure that we get this customer's account approved. But Google Ads support really has a lot. It has a lot to it goes asking in terms of its professionalism. I think for such a huge organization to get that wrong, it's not good at all. And you know what? That's about it for today. Don't think these podcasts are going to be every day 30 minutes. I'm hoping they can be. I'm hoping this can be long form content, and it really is to go through to document the journey of what we're doing and how we're doing it. But tomorrow, down in the foundry, see how working in a co-working space works out for us. A PDG office getting painted, very exciting. Feels like progress. Feels like moving forward. And I hope that in whatever you're doing in your day, that things feel like they're moving forward and you're seeing success. So have a great day, and I will be back tomorrow.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.